guest is the executive producer of the animated show, Dan Schneider.
Hi.
The Hollywood creep Dan Schneider was fired from Nickelodeon in 2018 after serving as a director, producer, and writer there for a while. During his time at Nickelodeon, he did a ton of damage. We'll be talking specifically about Ariana Grande today. She is fortunate that she was able to get away from him and Nickelodeon because he made her perform some of the most obscene things on video. We'll discuss the strange scenes in Victorious, Sam and Kat, Ariana's posts about Dan, and the specifics of how she managed to get out of this massive machine. As you guys know, Ariana Grande is one of the biggest pop stars that we know nowadays, but she looks a lot different when she was 15 years old, working with Dan Schneider as Kat Valentine on the hit TV show Victorious. This TV show is one of Dan's most successful projects, and it served as a major catalyst for Ariana's entry into the entertainment industry. But I am positive that, like many other Hollywood actresses and child stars, she was exploited. Hollywood is a dangerous environment where these celebrities are used by the system, producers, and executives who profit greatly from them, while also forcing them to perform sickening and repulsive tasks that satisfy the bosses, producers, or anybody else's fantasies. This TV show features some of Ariana Grande's darkest moments, and I firmly think that the experience has left her with severe psychological trauma.
Nobody ever knows what you're talking about.
You have man breath.
This is so disgusting that man got all up in her face. If I were her, I would have quit right there. But like, that clip is just one in a million of Ariana Grande on these TV shows doing gross and disgusting things. Even Ariana Grande's colleagues like Alexa Nicholas have posted about what Dan has done to Ariana Grande. Alexa Nicholas has been very open about what she went through at Nickelodeon, and she is not a fan of Dan.
On set, all the adults made me feel that way. Telling them that I felt uncomfortable on set, there was bullying happening. 5 minutes later, he comes back, and it's like a DVD player. Does this make you feel better?
Hi, everyone. So Eat Predators is here at Nickelodeon hosting Slime Time Live. So first we have here a trigger warning for Nickelodeon, because Nickelodeon's a trigger warning in general, but also we're about to talk about some deep thoughts. So trigger warning before we begin. Okay, who's that? And then, so first question here, how many NDAs from Nickelodeon? Because we've been hearing a lot about NDAs in general in these corporate situations, and we're a little bit concerned because how can we as the public help if we don't know what's actually happening in there? So we believe that silence is violence. So we want to know how many NDAs at Nickelodeon, from employees to the cast, etc. Is Nick a predator? This is just a random question because we're hearing a lot of weird things are happening at Nickelodeon, and so it's all kind of pointing to this question: is Nick itself a predator? Protect children, not predators. My own personal experience at Nickelodeon, as you can see here, it says Nickelodeon didn't protect me. I did not feel protected at Nickelodeon as a child, personally. And so I'm demanding that Nickelodeon starts protecting children and not the predators. How many predators? That's a heavy question, but we would like an answer to that. How many predators have been at Nickelodeon? How many kids have suffered harm from predators within Nickelodeon? Okay, so we got here Dan Schneider, and to me, he is the creator of childhood trauma. He played a huge role in my personal childhood trauma. I did not feel safe around Dan Schneider while I was working at Nickelodeon. Actually, every time he came on set, my body got extremely tense. And later on in season 2, he yelled at me, made me cry in a room actually at Nickelodeon. I'm not sure if it was at Burbank or Nick on Sunset. I think it was Nick on Sunset. But him and a bunch of the executives made me cry in a room alone, and I don't think any child should have to experience anything like that, especially if it's coming from people that are supposed to be looking out for the kids on set. That's deeply concerning to me. So we got next, investigate Schneider's Bakery. A lot of the footage on Schneider's Bakery TV shows are concerning to me as a parent. So I would like Nickelodeon, or someone actually external to Nickelodeon, not Nickelodeon, to investigate Schneider's Bakery. There was footage on Zoe 101 alone that when I look back at it now, I'm deeply uncomfortable by it. Even if you say you didn't know or you were just being like, childlike or whatever, I don't believe that, because an adult should know how that could be seen to others, and it puts kids in a vulnerable position, and it's very, very alarming and concerning. So I would like someone to investigate Schneider's Bakery and see what actually was going on in there and how many NDAs from Schneider's Bakery. Schneider's Bakery lawyer actually called me in 2019 asking me to come into a room with Dan Schneider to come up with some type of agreement. And so I'm guessing that was probably an NDA. I'm not fully sure, but it sounded like it. So Schneider's Bakery tried to silence me. So I would like them to investigate them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 predators who worked at Nickelodeon around children. One of them here was a production assistant for Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Nights. He worked at Nickelodeon. He was convicted, trigger warning, of molesting a child at Nickelodeon. He was in the animation section, but he actually brought over a child to a studio where he sadly molested a child there at Nickelodeon, which is red flag Nickelodeon. Brian Peck, dialogue coach for all that. He did the comedy boot camp with Dan Schneider. So this was or is a friend of Dan Schneider. Predator, convicted, raping a child on set. Slime. Marty Weiss, child talent manager who would bring kids to Nickelodeon. Predator, convicted of raping a client. Jason Handy, production assistant for The Amanda Show, convicted pedophile. Predator. We have John here from the Ren and Stimpy Show. He was accused of sexually abusing teenagers who looked up to him as a mentor, so slime him as well. All right, so we have Sharon Lieblein. She was the vice president of talent. I have her here as enabler because she was in the room the day that I got verbally abused by Dan Schneider over there. She said to me, "Why are you crying?" and was basically making fun of me at 12 or 13 years old, telling me that it was not called Nicole 101, it was called Zoe 101, and told me that I should just be sucking it up, basically. She also told me that she's the reason I got the show, that I wouldn't have gotten the show if it wasn't for her. So that was a little bit traumatizing in general to hear an adult saying something like that to you. So I have her here as an enabler because she worked close to Dan Schneider, and nobody did anything about the abuse that was happening on the set of Zoe 101. Over here, we have a CEO of Nickelodeon. I have a question here for her. Is she the chief of enablers? Because if she's the CEO, how come she didn't step in at any time to protect any of these children? I think that is deeply concerning, again, because she is an adult running Nickelodeon, and there were kids that said they were being abused on these sets. So where was she? Where was she? Cheryl Levine was a casting director. I have her here as enabler because everybody that was around me that was an adult at that time never intervened to protect me, never was concerned about me in general. So we're sliming Cheryl Levine today. Here is CEO of Nickelodeon while I was there at Nickelodeon. My question to him is, do you have a noggin? Because where were you when all of that was happening on set? How come you didn't step down to make sure that the kids there were well protected? I want to know, where was he, and do you have a noggin? Fred Savage was a director on Zoe 101, and he is now an alleged predator. And so this is something I want to talk about today, is that, as you can see, predators are on these sets, even around children. Maybe he wasn't alleged yet, at the time, but there were predators around children at Nickelodeon. So what does that mean? Probably that's why they're having a bunch of people sign NDAs and silencing them. So I want to know why so many predators were allowed on the set of Nickelodeon, just because there's children on set and we need to protect the children. We need to make sure we're not protecting the predator. Here, he was the talent coordinator on Zoe 101. I have a question. Child endangerment ?
Unlike Ariana Grande, Alexa has spoken against Dan like Jeanette McCurdy. But Ariana Grande had some weird relationship with this man. She has been able to start at Nickelodeon as one of the sidekick characters and then turn that into her own television show and later a huge pop career that has pretty much dominated the world. Again, I don't know exactly what went down with her and Dan, but we're going to react to some of the clips from Victorious and Sam and Kat. Go ahead and watch some of these clips from Victorious. If you've seen them before, like, just hold on a moment, these ones are really popular. But we've got some more we're gonna talk about later in this video.
Have you ever said something, like a sentence, and thought to yourself, wow, like, I bet nobody else on earth has ever said those exact words that I just said? That happens to me a lot. So now, just for fun, I'm gonna say 3 sentences that I bet not one person has ever said before in the history of mankind. Sentence number 1. Oh man, my uvula got stuck between that hamster's toes. See? That could never happen, because your uvula is that swingy thing in the back of your throat right here. So there's no way you could get it stuck between a hamster's toes. Sentence number 3. I'm soaking wet! Quick, somebody bring me the ocean! No one would ever say that. Why? Because if you were soaking wet and you were upset about it, the last thing you'd want is for somebody to bring you the ocean. Because the ocean is even more wet than even the wettest person in the world. Have you ever tried to get your whole big toe in your mouth? Check this out. Sometimes I wonder if you can get juice from a potato. Is it possible for a teenage girl to drink water upside down? I'm thirsty. It's not possible. This has been me in a video. Come on, give up the juice. Can you imagine what life would be like with hippopotamus teeth?
It's not entertaining, it's just straight up gross. And it's just like, bruh, she's 16 here. It's traumatic what these children have to go through. The experiences these kids have are horrific. You guys can tell from that footage alone that Nickelodeon is obviously abusing these kids, but I suppose that's just the way the company operates because a lot of its employees are creeps, and people like Ariana Grande, Jeanette McCurdy, Alexa Nicholas, and countless others have had to endure hardships as a result of those creeps. The entire cast of Victorious had to endure Dan's really creepy fantasies like the feet. You guys all know that Dan really likes his feet, and of course this scene is really gross.
Can't believe I'm doing this.
Let's not forget that TikTok, where there are really disgusting noises at the end of the Victorious shows that are obviously little sound bites of really gross moments that the producers want you to hear again because they know that it has a deeper meaning than what they're trying to play it off as. Luckily, Ariana Grande has made her own reputation, but other stars who can't really break out of that mold are left with these weird episodes of them acting inappropriately as children. After Victorious ended, Ariana Grande was offered a new gig. Sam and Cat is a show that starred Jeanette McCurdy and Ariana Grande, and it only had 1 season, and there's a good reason for that season because I don't think either of them wanted to work on that set with that man. However, he might have been the one to propel her career into the spotlight, or perhaps he was simply one more obstacle she had to overcome to become one of those huge pop singers. We are aware that being a huge star in Hollywood requires hard work, sacrifice, and sometimes even doing unspeakably disgusting things, as these executives will do to make you the next big thing. And among those top stars in the end was Ariana Grande. Until next time, I will see you guys in a new video soon. Bye, guys.